What is up, YouTube? Jonny B here again today, and this is going to be a video that we've been waiting for a long time. I've been waiting for a long time to get the kit, and you guys have been hearing about me wanting to get this kit and install it and just, you know, have the car up and running again, because I did sell my engine and I did sell my turbo kit that I had previously. So stock engine sold, had 20,000 miles. Stock turbo kit sold as well. Well, not really stock turbo kit, I guess the previous turbo kit, which was the full-blown kit. This is gonna be the new setup. I got a JDL V2 turbo kit setup, and then it also came with the V3 or the upgraded version of the intercooler with some little mods that I decided I wanted to go with, just to have like a little bit more upgraded for, you know, to be able to support a little bit more boost and to support the built engine that is now in the car. So I'm gonna go over, you know, the way everything is set up, the way everything, you know, how happy I am with the kit, and just pretty much how the car is set up now, and really just trying to get it done, get it tuned. It's already finished. Before I even got the kit, I went ahead and removed the oil pan. I went ahead and installed a baffle from Blue Moon Performance. That's something that's a little bit necessary in my case, since I'm going to be tracking the car quite a bit. I want to have a baffle in there. It's not necessary for anybody with a stock car. Obviously this car is going to be pushing a lot of power. I'm going to be abusing it a lot, so I just want to make sure that the oil stays in the oil pan and it's not splashing around, and then all of a sudden the oil doesn't get picked up and then we start having some issues, which is a little bit of a known issue, that, you know, we lose oil pressure in these cars. So the crank pulley, I upgraded it. Most of you guys know that the stock pulley is better than running any aftermarket, just solid aluminum pulley for a lightweight pulley. They're lighter. There's been a couple tests. You know, there's a lot of controversy, a lot of debate. They measured horsepower from the lightweight one to the stock one to the upgraded harmonic balancer pulley, and they actually saw less power with the lightweight one. The original one actually was much better. And then the harmonic balancer kind of showed a little bit more, but it's not really a horsepower thing. It's more about keeping the engine crank balanced. And when when you have a built engine like this, it's something that's a little bit more required if you're going to be high revving, which I am, because the engine is upgraded. You know, the whole valve train system is upgraded, so I'm not going to be having an issue with valve float. So that's gonna, you know, raise my RPM up to 8,200 RPM. So I'll be able to rev it out more, and that'll cause a lot more vibrations that later on down the road, you know, they could cause, you know, some potential damage. So I'd rather just not risk it. And I don't want, you know, the rubber ring in the stock one to just rip off. So I just went ahead and upgraded that. It's the Fluid Amper harmonic balancer crank pulley for the FRS BRZ WRX. It fits a lot of the models with the FA20. So let's get started, and let me show you guys how I hooked up everything with the JDL kit. So first of all, let's start off with the engine. Just looking at it right away, there's really nothing different about it, because every single mod that's done, you know, the engine is all internal. So the reason I went with this engine, which is it's got pretty much everything you need to push, you know, some decent horsepower numbers. I'm not going for anything like 1,000 horsepower where you need to be sleeved or whatever, 800. This engine is not sleeved. What ended up happening was that I ended up being able to sell mine and buy this one locally here from a guy that was actually going to do an LS swap in his engine. This was an adult owned engine. He built it, he was driving it, he had an AVO turbo kit on it pushing like 5-6 pounds. So this engine was pretty much not abused at all. The guy did all his regular maintenance. It was really taken care of, really meticulous with everything that he did with the engine. I even got to test drive the car with the engine in it before I even made my purchase. So that's how I got the engine. I didn't want to wait 3, 4, 5, 6 months to get an engine built. I just wanted to, you know, just go ahead and get one as soon as possible and make the power number that I wanted. So before, I was making 400 wheel horsepower on E85, which is perfect, to be honest. Maybe around 350 is perfect for this car, so you don't really need more than that. The dream build engine build would probably be a 12.5 compression, you know, stock compression with you know, sleeved with the Darden sleeves and all kinds of other stuff. But that would have cost me like 8 grand just to do, and that's not it, you know, that's probably not even including getting the block sleeves from another engine. So this was only around 700 bucks to get, because I sold my engine and bought this one, and that was the difference, $700. This thing comes with forged pistons, forged rods. The crank is already forged from factory. It's got King main bearings and King rod bearings. It also has a GSC valve springs, which is one of the weak points of the engine. So pretty much all the weak points were covered in this. The rods being #1 weak point of, you know, when you're boosted, that's where you're going to throw out the side of your block. The second weak point is obviously the valve springs. So all the valve train, that area was upgraded. That way we can rev out a little bit higher, and we're not going to be having valve float. So that was one of the issues. Another issue is the head bolts. They're not going to be able to hold enough pressure, so they're all replaced with ARP head bolts. Also, the main block bolts are also ARP. Not really necessary, but you know, he did it and it works. Another thing that was done to it as well was the oil pump. The oil pump is another thing that is an issue with this car, where your oil pressure will fluctuate. So you want to go ahead and upgrade that. We have the Rainmax upgraded billet oil pump, a little bit more durable, more reliable. It shoots a little bit more volume than the stock one, so that'll help keep everything lubricated. So pretty much block is fully forged. Heads, the valves are all stock. It's just like the springs and retainers or titanium and all that other stuff, just to make sure that we don't have any valve float on there. And then obviously everything was machined, everything was balanced, everything was done, you know, done to the dot. So that's why, you know, I trusted buying this engine. You know, for $700 more, that's really nothing in comparison to, you know, what you would pay for a built engine. And so far the engine's been really healthy for this like first little tune that we've done. Another weak point are the head gaskets. The stock head gaskets, after a certain cylinder pressure, will blow out. This one has Cometic head gaskets, which are a little bit thicker steel than the factory ones, but they're still like factory style, so they hold a little bit better. That was another one of the weak points that was upgraded as well. And then obviously the whole engine was sealed up properly and timing and everything done. So that's pretty much it for the engine. So here is the new turbo kit. Obviously I told you guys I had the full-blown before. Now we have the JDL kit. The reason I went with the JDL kit was because I wanted a bigger turbo, or I wanted a better turbo than what my full-blown kit came with. This turbo alone is worth about $2 grand. It's the Garret GTX3076R. So that turbo alone is worth, you know, quite a bit. So for what I had into my full-blown kit, and from what this costed, you know, I ended up saving, you know, like $500 just by getting a whole new kit and getting the turbo that I wanted. So that's why I ended up going that route by selling the old turbo kit and getting this new one. So now I have the turbo that I've always wanted. Mainly, it's a dual ball bearing. It's got the newer technology billet wheel in there, and it just spools much faster than the old one that I had, which was just a generic Garret 57 trim. So here's the turbo. This is the downpipe, and then obviously we have the header down there. I went with the unequal length header because there really isn't much difference apart from the sound. I spoke with Jesse, the owner of JDL. He said there's like insignificant data on, you know, differences between them, both between the equal length and the unequal length. And I kind of wanted to get that Subaru rumble, so I didn't mind it. So I went ahead and got that. And then another thing is all my hot parts are ceramic coated. So this is black ceramic coating is what I wanted to go with. Just that way I didn't have to wrap everything. It was just nicely coated. It has a really nice finish, and the quality on this kit is just amazing. Like if you look at the little flanges, the way that the pipe is bent, just so you can actually fit the bolts here, and it just like molds with the hot side of the turbo. It's amazing, the quality on it. And then you get all this nice hardware and nice gaskets and everything. So first thing you do is you hook up the header, obviously, or the turbo manifold comes up, then you hook up the turbo, and then from there you start, you know, branching everything. So you either do the downpipe or you can do the intercooler setup and stuff like that. So from here, it literally just crosses right over the radiator. You can follow this line, passes down here, and it goes into the intercooler right away. So instant. Before on the full-blown kit, I had to travel like zigzag that way underneath the headlight. I swear I had like at least 3 or 4 90-degree bends going under the headlight, just so that way when it came into the intercooler on the side, it would look good over here. So that was the whole reason how it looked so good, was that there was just a bunch of weird bends with a bunch of weird size piping. So it just comes in here, and then obviously if you guys look at this intercooler, this is the upgraded model. So if you want to get this one, it's a little bit extra. mainly because it's bigger and the core supports up to 750 wheel horsepower. And then it comes back up and it has like let's say like a 90-degree bend here as well, which in my opinion, you know, the full-blown kit probably had a lot more bends than this kit has. So this being right here, and then just it's like a straight shot straight into the engine. So you follow this one, it just goes right over and just straight into the throttle body. So this kit is much shorter than the full-blown kit, because the full-blown had to go like all the way around, and this one's just like straight shot here, straight shot there. So response will probably be, you know, improved by a lot, just because of the fact that everything is just so short. And then one of the key features was, for example, the mass airflow sensor. It actually sits at the top, so it's right at the top. On the full-blown kit, it did like a 90-degree bend here, and it had it underneath, which was like pointing straight at the hot side, or at the downpipe of the turbo, and you were getting this heat soaked. So I was having a little bit of tuning issues, because this thing was like kind of overheating and not giving me good readings. So I had to gold wrap it, and that, you know, that solved the issue, and it could run again. But this has the map sensor here, so that was perfect. Wasn't having an issue with that. And then I have the upgraded kit to where I'm running the race stuff. Right now I have the Raceport Turbo Smart stuff and the Hypergate. I'm actually going to be changing this out for the tile blow-off valve, the tile Q that I had before, mainly because I just really love the sound, and it's one of the best blow-off valves out there. So we're going to go ahead and get this changed. This is just like a little test to see if I liked it, but wasn't really my favorite sound. Sometimes it would sputter, sometimes it wouldn't. It sounded a little bit like electronic, and I just didn't like it. So we're going to be changing that out for the tile Q. Just for now, for tuning, we're running this. And then obviously it's hooked up with the vacuum here. As you guys can see, we got some nice little zinc coated clamps. Been watching a YouTuber that likes to zinc coat everything, so I figured I'd get some zinc coated stuff as well, because it looks good. It looks like golden and like colorful. And then another upgrade that I did was, if you look at this side of the turbo, normally you have the intake, which is just like a little pipe, and then the filters right here in the engine bay. You know, it's in the hot area. So what I ended up doing is I got the upgraded cold air intake. So it just goes here, travels underneath the headlight, and then it just goes straight down, and then there's the filter right there. It's right in front of the tire, so that kind of sucks, because if I were to pick up, you know, some water, it would probably hydro lock it or fill it up with water. So I might have to do something to protect it there, or get one of those little covers that are supposed to be like hydrophobic. So that would probably work as well. We have that in the Fiesta ST. And then another issue that I was having was with heat. So my oil cooler always sat in the front of the intercooler. I had a lot of you guys comment, Johnny, don't put it there, it's not supposed to go there. A couple engineers were telling me, you know, that this is just heat soaking everything. So the only other place I can route this was just a little bit further up. Before I had this set up, obviously I had it down here, and I was having a lot of heat soaking issues where, you know, the intercooler, the radiator, everything was just getting heat soaked. So I decided to put it up here, because this was probably the only place that I could have put it, just a little bit farther up. Because if I try putting it on the driver's side, that's where I was gonna have the cold air intake for the turbo. So we don't want, you know, that intake heat soaking from all the hot air that's gonna be coming off of this. And then I couldn't put it on the passenger side either, because the lines just wouldn't reach. So this was the best option. So what I ended up doing is I drilled out on my bash bar, and then I went ahead and put some riv nuts, and then I just literally bolted it down, and that's how it's being held on. It's actually like super sturdy. Another thing I might do is I might just add a fan here that's like pushing, just to, you know, keep that oil in there, keep it cool, or keep it cooling more efficiently, since it's not going to be getting direct airflow just from me driving. But I think that would actually, you know, help out quite a bit with, you know, the charge pipe and then the actual radiator and everything not getting as hot of air. So I haven't seen anybody put it here. I put a lot of thought into it. This was probably the only place I could put it, and it seems to work. And if I add a fan, it'll make it even more efficient. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to how I hooked up the turbo, you know, how all the lines, how all the oil lines, how all the water lines, and how all the vacuum lines are set up, including, you know, the boost controller setup. So here is the oil inlet line. This is one of the main lines that you want to do. I went ahead and installed this first. So it goes straight to the block. So if you look in this area, there's like a little fitting. There would normally be a plug there, so you remove the plug, you put your fitting, and then that's gonna have the little connection for the AN line, and then the AN line just goes boom straight to the top of the turbo. So the turbo, you want to have this set up, you know, as high at the highest point as possible. I had to have it angled a little bit just because of the way that the drain line was going. If I had it angled any straighter, the drain line wouldn't reach, or it would be in an awkward position. So that's how it is. So straight down from this is where the drain line hooks up. You can't really see that from this position, but it just literally goes from the bottom of the turbo straight to the oil pan, around all the pulleys, just so everything's out of the way. And then these two right here were a bit difficult to install. I had to install them and clock the turbo and everything. So setting all this up was a little bit of a pain. It's better to set it all up on the turbo and have the correct clocking position when the turbo is still out. But you know, that just makes it a little bit impossible. So you're gonna have to figure that out. It took me a while as well. So these two are your inlet and outlet. I don't know exactly which one I set up where. And to be honest, I don't really think it matters. I think I made this one my inlet and then that one the outlet. So these lines just go straight down underneath the turbo, pass by the manifold, and then if you can look here, there's two lines. So I routed them in between this belt and in between the oil filter housing. So I just went down in there, and they go straight under the alternator. Or actually, this is your AC compressor, this is the alternator. So they go straight under your AC compressor, and you can see the lines. If you look, take a little peek through here, right where my finger's at, those are the lines right there. So they connect to the throttle body and to like a little water nipple that's underneath the throttle body. So from the throttle body, there's usually like a little U-shaped hose that connects to the bottom. So you connect one of the hoses to the throttle body, and then you connect the other hose to that bottom piece where the throttle body usually connects. So you're basically, instead of having that little loop, now it's going to be looping around your turbo. And that's how you're going to be getting water to your turbo or antifreeze or whatever you have in there. So that's your basic setup on your oil and water lines. And obviously, I decided to make it look a little bit cleaner, have everything mostly hidden. But if you wanted to, you could route these upwards and then route them over the top. But to me, it would just not look good at all. So I routed them underneath and kind of hid them away. So the way the turbo setup just looks a lot much cleaner. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys how I set up the vacuum lines or the boost lines. And first one we're gonna do is the blow off line. So the blow off has two ports. I plugged the one, and the other one has a vacuum line to it. So this just goes to the manifold. So what you need, or what comes with the kit, is this hose, and then you have a T. So if you look back here on the brake booster, there's a line coming off of the brake booster, and then there's like a little bump in the brake booster line. You want a T into it anywhere after that. You can just cut it, put a T into it, and then that T, you know, is gonna hook up to your blow off. And that's pretty much how you hook up your blow off. That's easiest way, simple. It can be done. Another thing that I've seen done is that people tap into their throttle body and they put a fitting here, and it's just like blow off to the throttle body. So anywhere you can get manifold pressure, that's pretty much where you hook it up, and that's what's gonna run the blow off or help it, you know when to open up. Now I'm gonna show you guys how I set up the boost controller or the wastegate. So if you look over here on the turbo, there are a lot of zinc plated clips. So the turbo, at JDL, they install a little nipple for you. So this is the best place to get boost reference pressure to your wastegate. So if you're gonna just be running wastegate pressure, which on this kit, I think it was like 7 pounds of boost, you literally just hook up a hose from here to the bottom side of your wastegate. So the wastegate has two different ports. It has one on top and then one on bottom, which is closer to the hot side. That's literally where you hook it up. I have it set up a bit differently just because I'm running a boosted engine that is gonna be running like a tremendous amount of boost, not just like a normal stock block. So this is a T right here. So with this T, we're gonna be getting two different types of boost references to the wastegate. So this T right here is just boost reference to the wastegate, but this is gonna be hooked up on the bottom, just like it normally would be, just hooked up on the bottom. And then this other one goes up and around, and it just basically hooks up to your boost controller. Here's the boost controller. This is set up a bit different from my older setup. This line right here is coming straight from the turbo nipple, and it's hooking up to port number 1. Normally this would probably be hooking up to port number 2, and then just this to the bottom of the wastegate, and you're done. That's the first turbo setup if you're going to be running boost control on low boost. Since I'm going to be running a lot more boost, I need something forcing it closed at the same time. So this is boost pressure going through port 1. This is straight to the turbo, and then over here, this is just a breather, which is going to be port 2, and then this is port, actually this is port 2, this is port 3. Port 2, which is the side port, is going to be going straight to the top of the wastegate. So if you follow it down, you can't really see it, but it just goes straight to the top of the wastegate. So simple, not really, but you know, all I did to figure out how to set this up was I actually went into the wastegate's website of how to set it up, and there's just so many ridiculous ways of how to set this up that are so confusing that I just set it up this way and it ended up working. So I'm happy with it. I'm not gonna mess with it. I do need to run more boost, so I need to change the spring in the wastegate, but for now we're running 18 pounds of boost on 91, which is probably as much as you want to run on 91 with this style setup. And it's a bit different, but it's working. That's how it goes. You need to run a T off of the turbo, but for you guys that have stock engines, you don't even need to worry about this. You just set it up the traditional way. So I know this was a lot to take in. There was just a lot of information there going, which everything needs to be explained in case you guys are trying to do this yourself. Another thing that I forgot to mention was the fueling. I'm running a full-blown motorsports kit with a Walbro 465 or 485 liter per hour for the fuel pump, and then I'm running ID 1050X injectors. So that's like the go-to thing for when you're running a built engine. Everybody goes to that. So this was a kind of a bit long talking video. I hope you guys didn't get bored. I hope this was informational for you guys. Some people out there, like me personally, I was having a lot of issues, figuring out how to set up vacuum, how to set up the oil lines and stuff like that, how to route them. And there's not a lot of information out there, so I figured this would help out, a lot of the people that are trying to do this themselves, or just, trying to know how to work on it in case they got it installed from someone and they just don't know how everything works. This hopefully helped you guys out to understand that. The car is only partially tuned right now. I can barely drive it. It kind of has a hard issue like turning on. That's mainly just because of the tune. It just needs to be like ironed out. The car's drivable though. That's how I know that the engine is still solid, that everything's working fine. We're making roughly around like 360, 370 wheel horsepower, or at least it feels like it, on 18 pounds of boost on 91, which is ridiculous because I never thought I'd put that much boost into the engine on 91. So once we get this completely tuned, once we get the Fiesta tuned, then we're gonna be having you guys, come along for some driving videos, some revving videos, so you can hear all the noises it makes. This turbo actually sounds like a vacuum cleaner, which is kind of, kind of cool at the same time and kind of not. I don't know. I just like, as I'm driving and I step on the throttle a little bit, you can kind of hear it like a vacuum cleaner. So that's how powerful or how good it spools. That's gonna be it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. And if you guys have any more comments or questions, make sure to hit me up on my Instagram, which is probably one of the best places to contact me at, and just send me a DM at initialized_FRS. I know a lot of you guys have been trying to contact me from like weird methods, but the best place for me to respond is just Instagram. That's just how it's always been. I'm always on there, and sometimes I can respond a lot faster than through email or anything else. It's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, you guys have a great day.